In this episode, we get into Rachel's sock line, and this is her Pilates socks. I will leave the link in the description down below. We carry them at Stride. It's called Work Collective, and these socks are incredible. They are really nice, high quality fabric. They have fantastic grip, and they are cute. A lot of Pilates socks aren't always super cute, but these are super cute, super trendy, super fashionable, and not like over the top or cheesy or corny, anything like that. They're perfect Pilates socks. I'll link to them down below. And when Rachel was setting up her Pilates socks and wanted to begin selling them, there was only one website that she wanted to use to sell her Pilates socks, and that was Shopify. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business, from the launch your online shop stage to the first real life store stage, all the way to, oh my God, did we just hit 1 million order stage? Shopify is there to help you grow. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/manifest, all lowercase. So go to shopify.com/manifest now to grow your business no matter what stage you're in. That's shopify.com/manifest. Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Manifest with Tori DeSimone. I'm your host, Tori DeSimone. Today's episode is one of my favorite episodes we've ever done with Manifest. I wholeheartedly mean that. I adore this episode. So as you guys can see by the title, this episode is called How to Get Your Shit Together. And this episode is it's technically a guest episode, yes. And that is because I brought on one of my best friends, Rachel Robinson. Now, Rachel, if you guys have been following for a very long time, has been around for a while. When I had a Philly apartment in 2020, I moved to Philly in January of 2020, and then the pandemic hit, and I ended up leaving Philly in September of 2020. Anyway, when I had that apartment, she was my roommate there, but her and I go way, way, way back. We actually met in 2017. So almost 10 years. No, it's not 10 years. What year is it? 2024? 7 years. So her and I have been friends for 7 years, and we have been super, super close since we met. Our meeting story is so funny. I won't really get into it, but essentially she would take my spin classes at the studio that I taught at. Then when I opened Stride, she came over to Stride, and she used to do our social media for Stride. Then she started teaching for Stride, and then she is a huge reason why Stride Sea Isle is a thing. To make a very long story short, we were at a charity event for Stride in Phoenixville, my base location, and she was like, I think you should like open something down at the shore. It would thrive. And I was like, I couldn't agree more. And we went for it. And she has been such a pivotal part of Stride along the way, and she teaches at the Jersey Shore for me every single summer, and it's just been so amazing. And all this to say is that this episode is one of my favorites because I have seen Rachel grow throughout the years, and it has been incredible to watch. As a friend, to see what she's been able to accomplish within her life is so aspirational, and it's what so many people look at. Like when I think of an adult that has her shit together, I really do think of Rachel. And this episode has so many takeaways. And what I love the most about this episode is that she's real, she's honest, and she's vulnerable in the episode, in the sense that she didn't like her life, in meaning when she looked in the mirror, she had to be really honest with herself and say, okay, what is not working? What do I want, and how can I get it? And she nailed down exactly what it is that she wanted. She went after, and now she lives a life that she's so proud of and so happy with. And she says it in the episode. And it is wild to hear that people don't say often how happy they are with their life. And Rachel has gotten herself to a point where she is really happy with the life that she's created, and she gives all of the tools, like no stone left unturned today in today's episode. It's so incredible, so wonderful. And she's not an influencer. She's not an entrepreneur, a small business owner. She just started like a side hustle with Pilates socks, and we'll get into that. But what I'm trying to say is that she is a real person. She is a normal girl, and she wanted to change her life, and she did. And this is exactly how she did it. And as a friend, it's amazing to look at. And I just couldn't be more proud of her. And like I said, when I think of a real life adult, like I think of Rachel. So I asked her, we were at dinner, and I was like, would you like come on my podcast and do an episode of how to get your shit together? And she laughed and she was like, I would love to. So I want to emphasize that it's not that Rachel didn't have her shit together to begin with. She just wanted to change her life and make a better life for herself, especially in her young 20s. She really wanted to become financially literate. She wanted to be able to date. She wanted to be able to, she moved across the country. She took big risks. And I just love this episode so much. And I think you guys will as well. All right. I think that's all that I wanted to preface this episode. So without further ado, let's welcome Rachel Robinson onto Manifest with Tori DeSimone.
I'm ready.
Are you excited?
Yeah, I'm like a little nervous.
Don't be nervous. It's just us girls.
Well, what's actually so funny is the last time we recorded your podcast,
Was
it 5 years ago?
No, I'll never forget. It was in the Philly apartment.
No, we fully filmed for like 2 hours, and then I literally texted you. I was like, you have to delete it.
Yes. You did.
I literally was like, I actually hate that. And how I sounded. I promise I won't do that this time.
Today we're not going to have buyer's remorse. Like today we're going full send on it.
I was like, don't know about that one.
It
so sorry
to
about
the best
that.
Of don't even worry about it. It happens to the best of us all the time.
Oh my God.
Rachel, welcome to Manifest.
Thank you.
You excited to be here?
This is so fun.
Yeah, no, it's so much fun.
I love that we're just like chilling in the yard, hanging out on the couch.
No, it's the best.
Just two girls and some microphones.
Just two girls and some microphones. And it's what we talk about like 99% of the time. So the fact that now people can also see it is fantastic.
No, literally, this was as if we didn't just talk about this at dinner.
No, it's so true. So Rachel, as everyone can tell by the title, today you're going to be talking about how you got your shit together.
Yes.
And I just want to preface this by saying there wasn't a time when she didn't have her shit together. It was more so just like you wanted to change your life and you did.
Yeah, like I feel like I always like went through the motions. I didn't have any like crazy come to Jesus where I like rearranged my whole life, but like I definitely looked at the life that I had and I was like, I feel like I could level up a little bit, and just went through some changes in the last, I don't know, like 5 years.
Yeah. I'd say like your move was really your big moment, but there was stuff leading up to that too.
Yeah.
So let's just like start.
Okay,
let's
down.
like dive right in. So how did you start with getting your shit together?
I think what I did was a lot of it was circumstances out of my hands, and COVID being the number one. Of you and I mean, you get it more than anyone. We worked full time in fitness. I, at the time, was working full time in the fitness industry. Like, for a backstory, I graduated from college a semester early. So it was at December of 2018. I got a full time job right away. And I literally despised what I was doing. And I think I worked there for a month is like really giving, maybe 3 weeks. And I quit and said, I love fitness. I want to work in fitness full time. And I started teacher training, all of that. And then I went into fitness full time, and probably by the time I was fully in the industry, COVID happened.
It was like full swing, peak fitness. Like for real, Philly was taking off.
Yeah.
In the fitness world.
And I I felt like I really did it. Like I went from training with you. You were my first, obviously. I was teaching at Stride. I had worked at Lululemon full time because I needed money, because I needed to pay my rent and my bills. And I was doing that, teaching as much as I could with you. And then I got hired at Barry's, literally went training there. We opened in January of 2020. It was like right at the beginning of 2020.
Yeah, I think it was like maybe November of 2019. Like it was right around that time.
And we were open until right after my birthday, March 5th. I think we had a week, and then everything shut down. And then we were out of jobs. I mean, I was like really out of a job, and I had rent to pay and all this stuff. And I kind of just like looked around, and I was working myself crazy. And I think a lot of this just comes from like recent graduates. Like, I worked a full-time job. I got really scared by it. I didn't like what I was doing, and that's like a whole other topic of conversation. But I essentially took a look at everything I was doing and I was like, yeah, we have to make a change. And that's really what started it.
And it was also like peak hustle culture time.
Yes, it was. And that was like sun up to sundown. I mean, I was teaching 6 days a week. I was also freelancing on the side. I feel like I totally left this part out.
Oh my God, yeah.
I was freelancing on the side. So I was at the demand of everybody's schedules. I was basically working 24/7 and I wasn't like, I felt like I was working a ton and I wasn't making a ton. I felt like I was doing things that I liked but didn't love. And I feel like as hard as COVID was, it really like forced me and everyone, I feel like, to kind of look in the mirror. And I was like, I have this opportunity to like figure it out.
Yeah.
And I kind of did.
So what was the first step? Were you writing things down, or was it like you had to take a good look at yourself in the mirror and be like, okay, Rachel, like something's not, like, what did you do?
No, I'm taking the pink journal with gold pineapples on my bedside table to the grave with me. Like,
So it's in there.
She holds all my secrets.
Got it.
And I'm not a journaler. I'm not a morning journaler. I'm not a journaling. I journal in my phone. I actually talk to text a lot when I have like things I want to remember, things I want to say, but that's not what I'm talking about. I have this journal where and it's so funny looking back because I've had it since like 2018, will bullet point all of the things I want in that time. And I could change what I want every 6 months, but it's in there. And I have literally like things like physical, financial, love, like basically all of your manifestations, I guess.
Yeah.
And would write them down. And then literally, I actually learned this from working at Lululemon, kind of like backtracking of writing down what you want and then taking the steps that you need to get there.
Yeah.
So like a job, for example, I was like, I want a full-time job making this much money. Here's what I'm going to do. This is what I want to look at. This is where I'm going to find jobs. And then I guess it like all kind of worked because it did happen.
How'd you find your jobs?
The first one I found through my full-time jobs,
Yeah.
like my corporate ones when I made the switch.
Yeah.
My first full-time job I actually found through my brother, and this was not like, I guess it was like when my shit was the least together, and it was during COVID. We were obviously living down here. I wasn't really working. We were just like teaching. I was kind of figuring it out, and I was so stressed because I had my apartment in Philly at the time, which I literally was struggling to pay for. And I was like, I don't have a job. I'm living at the shore. I was partying 24/7. Like, it was COVID.
Yeah.
And I basically was like, okay, this is not working for me. And then what really got me is my parents said, hey, this is not working for you.
Oh, really? Your parents said something?
My family kind of sat me down and was just like, you're running yourself crazy trying to make all of these things work. Like, and they were so supportive. Let me start with that about me moving into the fitness industry. Like, looking back as a 22-year-old, having a full-time corporate job and then telling them I was going to quit because I wanted to teach classes that they knew nothing about. They probably thought like, oh my God, this girl's like really going off the deep end. And they basically sat me down and was like, we support you. We know this is what you want to do, but like, you don't know when the world's going to open back up. You don't know when things are going to go. Like, you need to start looking at jobs. Like, you're 22 years old. Like, this could really stunt the growth of your life if you don't figure it out. This was right after the 4th of July.
Oh, wow.
Right after the 4th of July. I feel like I never talked about this. It wasn't like I'm making it sound way more serious than it was, but I feel like it just really affected me because I was like, you guys are so right. Like, I feel this too, and I've kind of just been pushing it off. Like, I'm living on the shore, things are so great. I'm like,
right.
They told me everything I already knew.
And then, but sometimes to hear it from someone else other than yourself is like, oh, you guys see this too.
Yeah, like I was looking in a mirror and they were just like telling me I wasn't crazy.
100%.
And again, I've said this a million times, but like, it was during COVID, so I feel like I just couldn't even wrap my brain around what was going on and like what I was supposed to do because the world was so all over the place.
Right.
And my brother, who's 13 months younger than me, actually got a job as an underwriter at PayPal, which is not what I was doing. And they were like, hey, there's some roles open. They need a lot of help. They were working with PPP loans. So
COVID.
We don't need to go in the details, but they needed a lot of help. And my brother basically was like, if you want a job, like, I know this has absolutely no interest of what you like to do, but like, you need a job. And I was like, you're so right. Like, let's just do it.
Yeah.
So I kind of swallowed my pride and I worked really hard. And I feel like I put everywhere that I was working in fitness full time. And it definitely was painful, but I knew it was the best thing for me. And looking back, I say it all the time, that job was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah. And I remember that transition because obviously we were living together. We were so close during that time too. And you going out of fitness into this now corporate job, I feel like the perception from others was something weighing heavy on your mind.
Definitely. I feel like because it was such a big, like, fitness in that time was such a public thing. Like, you were on such a pedestal. And maybe I'm just making it up and it sounds like a whole lot of BS, but in my life and in that time, that's what it felt like. And also, I feel like I made this big leap of I worked this corporate job and I was going to quit. And I was telling people, like, follow what you want to do, like go off the beaten path, do all these things. I was freelancing because I wanted to work in marketing and I wanted to work in social media management. That's what I went to school for. And I was like, I'm so creative. I want to do this. I want to do that. And then I kind of did it and I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, holy shit, not only did you get a degree in this, not only have you been working with this and are like starting to establish roots, but like this is how you're making money. Like what else are you going to do? Like no shade, I did it, but like I was a communications major. I was like, it's not like I could just like go get a job as an underwriter. So it was scary to like, it felt like I was admitting defeat, but now looking back, like just admitting that I wanted to change, not one person cared.
No.
Why would they?
No one cared. And I remember when we would talk about it, and I was even thinking that back in my mind, like, it's not as big of a deal as you think.
No.
But I get it. Like, your life to you is always the most important thing going on. So whenever we switch anything, it could be even as small as like our nail polish color. Like, people are like, oh my, like we think, oh my God, people are going to notice. Like, it's going to be such, no one notices anything because everyone's so focused on themselves. So take the leap.
Literally. And that was the biggest, I think one of the biggest lessons I learned from it was like, you are not the center of everyone's universe.
Right.
Like,
what a tough pill to swallow.
What a tough pill to swallow. And I just feel like at 22, like you feel like the world is like totally yours and everyone's watching you and you're doing all these things. No one cares.
Yeah.
And it's like the best realization to have.
It really is. Like once you swallow that and you sit with it, it really is freeing and the world opens up.
Yeah.
So you wrote down some lessons here in your notes that I want to get into. So
I know, I had so much fun doing it.
I loved it. So talk me through some of them. The first one that you wrote was stay in your own lane.
Which I feel like we just touched on. Like, I feel like I stopped doing things for the perception of people. And not that I feel like I wouldn't be one that was like, I didn't really care about what other people thought, but I loved like the gratification from other people, I think.
Totally.
And
Very normal too.
Super normal. And I just learned to do things in private. I feel like for the first year I lived in Arizona, I feel like I really like shaved off my social media usage. I feel like I made a lot of big milestones out there that I didn't feel the need to post. Didn't even feel the need to tell people and just moved in silence, if you will, which like that's kind of what I did. And not for moving in silence the sake of doing it, but for really just like, I need to figure out what's good for me. I need to block out all of the outside noise and I'm just going to work on like what I want to do. And I'm not going to worry about the opinion of everyone else, the thought of everyone else, just completely like being selfish in my life.
Let's talk about the move really quick. We're jumping around a lot, but like it's good. So, the move, I feel like there was a pre-Rachel move and then a post-Rachel move. Would you agree?
Could not agree more.
Okay, so you born and raised PA.
Yeah.
You decided to move to Scottsdale, Arizona. How? Why? How did you tell your family? What was it like? Because it wasn't like a, hey, I'm moving forever. Like you eased everyone into this.
No, yeah. I could talk about this for hours. So I was born and raised in Pennsylvania, went to college in Pennsylvania. Like
this girl was gonna die in Philly.
I love Philly, and I do love Philly. But I had two friends that lived out in Scottsdale. I would visit ASU every year. They went to school in Tempe, and I went out there and loved it. For reference, like even when I was 18, like I went out to there to visit my freshman year of college and I loved it. And I told my parents I was transferring there instead of Temple because I went to community college the first year and they were like, yeah, like good luck paying for it. And I was like, Temple sounds awesome. So I was like, let's do it. So I always loved Arizona. And then I went back out the New Year's going into 2020. And I was talking with some friends out there that I had just been going out so many times. And we kind of had this conversation. We all went to a concert together of like, why not? Like, you love being out here. Like, why would you not just try it? And I was like, you're so right. But I was working in fitness. Like, my whole world was inside of Philadelphia. And I was like, I can never make that change. And when COVID was going on, everything was happening. I started my job at the time. I was working for PayPal. And it was like that time of life where you're working from home for a month, then 3 months, then 6 months. Like, there was no set plan.
Right.
So once it moved, I think at that point, I was supposed to go into office in January when I found out. And I think I decided in August that I was going to go.
Yeah.
I was driving on the GSP, Garden State Parkway, driving back down to the shore. And I literally just said what if I just did it? Like, what if I just went for it? And I literally kept saying it to myself. I always think back to this moment. I was driving on the highway and I was like, what if I just moved? What if I just do it? And I kept saying it. And then I literally got here to this house, went right into my room, texted my friend Jenna, and I was like, hey, what if I just moved there for a couple of months? And she was like, why don't you? So I went on Facebook, started looking at subleases. Like, I didn't think about like all of the reasons I can't do it. I didn't think about what anyone was going to say. I didn't think about what was going to happen in my apartment. I just thought like, who's going to stop me? Like, I'm working from home. Why not? And I found a lease. I lived with 2 random guys I found on Facebook Marketplace. People think I'm absolutely nuts for it.
I forgot about that.
I literally found a place. Well, I like posted in like a Facebook group and was like, hey, looking to move for a couple of months. If anybody has like a room for rent. This guy, Noah, who ended up being my roommate, messaged me and he was like, hey, I own a house. I'm subleasing rooms. Like, not sure how you feel about living with 2 dudes, but if you're down, I'm down. And I was like, I'm down. He gave me a rate. I asked for a little bit lower. He was like, let's do it. I was like, all right. And I had a house all within like 5 days. Like, this was really fast.
So fast.
Like, I remember even telling my therapist that I was like thinking about moving to Arizona, and she was like, I would like marinate on that one. And I was like, no, we're here. And I told my family after I found a house, which did not go over well.
Really?
I mean, my family's from here. Everybody's born and raised. No one's ever left. That's not a bad thing, but they've never done it.
Right.
So in their eyes, this was like the be all end all. And I knew in the back of my mind that if I didn't just go for it, it would never happen. And I even tried to explain that to them, which also didn't go over very well, of like, if I asked you for permission, I would never be going.
Right.
And I went.
And you're an adult.
And I'm an adult.
You were 22.
I was 22, and I was like, you know what? I can make it work. I had some money saved up.
You were 23.
I was 23.
Yeah, you were 23. You were able to do it. And I love what you said. Like, I thought of every reason why I should do it, not why I couldn't do it. I think that's so important, because if we always think of why we can't do things, of course we're never going to do it. There's always a reason to not do something.
Literally. And like, I know it gets a lot of shit for like being impulsive, but not being impulsive about every decision you make. But if you overthink everything, like, you will just stay stagnant.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just have to be a little bit impulsive and like,
100%.
Ask for forgiveness, not permission, and
100%.
just go for it.
Couldn't agree more. So you went out for 6 months.
Well, so I went out for 3 months. I was supposed to stay October, November, December. As soon as I got there, I think like 2 weeks in, obviously I loved it. I was having a great time. And my job, again, pushed our work from home until like March. Still had my apartment in Philly, had a subleaser in there till December. I'm trying to figure out if I can get another one. Like, once I got there, and I tried to explain this to my parents, like, the only thing I could ever say once I got there is I just breathed easier.
Yeah.
Like, it was the first time in my life I was on my own and no one knew me. No one had any preconceived notions of me. Not that there was like preconceived notions of me here, but like, it really is a fresh start.
Yeah.
And it's not for everybody, but like, it was for me. And moving just really forced me, especially moving that far, it forces you to really like evolve and become an adult. Like, if you fall there, like, you're the only person getting yourself back up. If you're sick, tough shit. Like, you're the only person there for you. If shit hit the fan, like, I was like, yeah, I had friends out there, but like, it was me at the end of the day. And I feel like it really, really forced me to grow up. And the lifestyle out there is just a lot different.
Like, what's it like?
People are just really, it's a really expensive area, which we also live in very expensive areas. But people there, I always say, just like work hard and play hard. And I feel like the difference between an East Coast and a West Coast mentality like that is people play a lot harder there. And it just made me want to level up.
Yeah.
Like, all of my friends, even from a really young age, had incredible jobs. My friends were buying houses. And I'm not comparing all of that to, you know, it's like these people versus that people. But just the table that I was at, I felt like I had the smallest seat at the biggest table. And it just really, really made me want to level up. And it gave me a lot of inspiration of like how to grow. And truly, like, I equate everything of who I am now into that move. I know for a fact, I mean, never say never, but like, I cannot imagine I would be half the person I am now without that move.
Yeah, no, there really has been, like, when you moved to Arizona, you just launched into this person that has just grown.
I love her
so much. No, seriously, like, who is she? Like, it's just been so awesome to watch, like, as a friend, and just everything. Like, it's just so cool to see you grow and continue to grow and just like hit milestone after milestone. It's just been really, really cool.
Thanks.
Like, you had an opportunity and you went for it. And it's really inspiring.
Thank you.
It really is.
That honestly, like, something I had on here, which I feel like is great to talk about, is I have the best friends in the world and like the best support system. Like, even I've lived out there, it'll be 4 years in October. Like my friends here just like hit different. And I feel like you cannot get your shit together without having a team behind you. Like you don't need their approval, but like I had your support.
Right.
And like that's all I knew. If I were to fall flat on my face, and I got a lot of comfort from that of like, if I go out there and hate it, if I don't make one friend, if I absolutely cry every single day, my friends here will be waiting for me to come back.
Right.
My friends here are going to be calling me, FaceTiming me, like giving me the support I need, talking me off the ledge. Like I knew you guys had my back.
Right. What would you say to someone that maybe doesn't have that or feel like they have those friendships if they do make a leap in their life, whether it's a new job or a move or something big that could be like, you know, how there's a pre-Scottsdale Rachel
right?
And then a post-Scottsdale Rachel.
I mean, don't do it for other people. Don't think like, oh, if I leave, I have this to come back to. But really just kind of reset your mind of like, what is the worst thing that is going to happen to you? And like be your own biggest advocate. And I feel like I had a really strong experience with this. I bought a property out there really, really early on of me living there. And the people in my life thought I was insane. And it was insane. I'm not like doubting that. But I felt like, especially from like, I'll be fully transparent, my parents, like I did not have the support that I had wished to have for making that purchase.
It's a big purchase.
It's a big purchase
at a young age. Like
it was, and I totally get where they're coming from, but like not having the people to cry to, like, I mean, you've been through it. Buying a house is scary. I had no idea what I was doing. I literally was figuring it out on the fly. And I would just sit in my car and like literally talk myself off the ledge. Like if you don't have the person that you want, be the person you want. Like I was my support.
I
And
love that.
you kind of, again, it's like finding the perfect balance of like you have people behind your back, but at the end of the day, like it's your lane. You have to figure out what you want, and you have to be so confident with yourself. Even if you're not confident in your next step, but you're confident in the big picture, like you know that you can go for it.
This kind of goes into the whole victim mentality thing that you were talking about earlier. So how did you erase that mentality?
I literally, and again, circling back, I had so many lessons from COVID. I feel like I spent so much time feeling sorry for myself because I worked, you know, I gave up this job to work in an industry for then the industry to be taken away. Like there was way bigger fish to fry than like my gym job. Like I was totally fine. And I feel like I was so sad for myself that I kind of forgot to like go full steam ahead for a little bit because I was so focused on like what I didn't have. I forgot like what I could do. And there wasn't like a big shift or like something that happened that gave me that moment. But I honestly think like once I started taking my power back, again, the move was a big one. And I was like, you know, these are the cards you're dealt. It's your choice on how you play them. I feel like I just never forgot that mentality. And I feel like I've just kept it every step of the way because in my mind, like as of right now, that was such a hard time in my life. Like I have yet, knock on wood, have come to terms with anything bigger than that. And every little thing that's come in the way, I've just continued to say like, you made the cards, like play them.
It's another big pill to swallow. It's like there's no one's coming to save you.
No. And it really took me looking at myself in the mirror. And again, it was the same thing with like the quote unquote getting my shit together of the conversation with my parents. Like I could have easily taken that and just like cried myself to sleep over it and said that my parents were being irrational and mean. But like really listening to what people have to say and like look at myself in the mirror and say, hey, I've been thinking this too. Like I'm allowed to say I'm a little all over the place right now. Like, what am I going to do to fix it?
Especially in the midst of a pandemic when that conversation was had, because it's so easy in that moment to be like, well, there's literally a pandemic going on. Like, what do they expect from me? Well, I literally just graduated college. What do they, like, there's always a reason to be the victim. And if you always have that mentality for your whole life, it's literally your life is never going to change.
No, literally. And it's not a bad thing to like look at yourself in the mirror and decide that you want to make a change.
100%.
Like, you don't, there's not always a reason of like, you know, there's a very fine line of like everything happens for a reason. You're on your own path, keep doing your thing. But like, there's nothing wrong with looking at yourself in the mirror and saying like, hey, this isn't working.
So let's talk about like some tactical things that people listening can do. And it doesn't have to be as drastic as like,
you don't have to move across the country.
You don't have to move across the country. You don't have to get a new job. But like, what are some things that you can start doing like today that maybe you do in your day-to-day life? Like, was it your health and fitness that you took control over? Was it when you wanted to get your job? Like you were talking about money that you wanted to take control over. Like, what are some of those things that you did?
Yeah, I think the number one thing I did was like really get to know myself and like exactly what I wanted. And I guess that kind of is, in a way, manifestation. Like, I wrote down like what physical things I wanted to change about myself, what mental things I wanted to change about myself. Like, I had a lot of anxiety that I was like, this isn't working for me. And I needed to figure out, like, I wasn't doing anything about it. I wasn't going to see someone. I wasn't sure if medication was an option. Like, I was just kind of like taking it, like things like that. Really understanding in your life, like, what works and what doesn't, because you can't get your shit together if you don't even know what you're getting together. So that was a big one. A really tangible thing is,
in this episode, we get into Rachel's sock line, and this is her Pilates socks. I will leave the link in the description down below. We carry them at Stride. It's called Work Collective, and these socks are incredible. They are really nice, high quality fabric. They have fantastic grip, and they are cute. A lot of Pilates socks aren't always super cute, but these are super cute, super trendy, super fashionable, and not like over the top or cheesy or corny, anything like that. They're perfect Pilates socks. I'll link to them down below. And when Rachel was setting up her Pilates socks and wanted to begin selling them, there was only one website that she wanted to use to sell her Pilates socks, and that was Shopify. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business, from the launch your online shop stage to the first real life store stage, all the way to, oh my God, did we just hit 1 million order stage? Shopify is there to help you grow. Whether you're selling the Manifest Planner or grippy Pilates socks, Shopify will help you sell everywhere. From their all-in-one e-commerce platform to their in-person POS system, whatever you're selling, Shopify has got you covered. Shopify helps turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best converting checkout, 36% better on average compared to other leading commerce platforms. And now you can sell more with less effort thanks to Shopify Magic, your AI-powered all-star. You can hear in this episode, Rachel says that she had no idea really about anything when it comes to the e-commerce space or selling direct to consumer. So selling Shopify was just the natural progression and the natural choice because they make it so easy for first-timers and also for professional huge brands, because you guys would probably be loving to know that Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the US. They are the global force behind Allbirds, Rothy's, Brooklinen, and millions of other entrepreneurs of every size across 175 countries. Plus, Shopify's award-winning help is there to support your success every step of the way, because businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/manifest, all lowercase. So go to shopify.com/manifest now to grow your business no matter what stage you're in. That's shopify.com/manifest.
I read this book called The Defining Decade.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
In my early 20s, I gave it to all of my friends who had not read it that I cared about for gifts. I would mail it to them. And it was a tough pill to swallow. That book, like, I had to take breaks from it. It like literally punches you in the face.
Yeah.
And it basically is a book on how to get your shit together at a young age. And I read it that summer when I was 23 years old. And it basically told me all the things that I wasn't doing. And I didn't have victim mentality over it. I said, you know what? These are really big things I can learn. And a big portion of that was finances. So, and this is for any age of life. This is not just to get your shit together for a time being, but like being financially literate is the number one gift I gave myself. And I learned a lot of it during COVID. I always tell people it was my COVID hobby when people ask how I know about it. And there's resources, especially today, everywhere. I was on finance TikTok.
Yeah. What did you do?
I literally learned how to buy my house on TikTok. I'm not kidding.
No way.
People can bitch all they want about how social media is, bad for your mental health, and people can say that it causes all of these problems, but there are so many great resources that come from it if you choose to go find them.
No way.
I didn't know what PMI was. I didn't know how to put a deposit down. I didn't know what mortgage interest rate I should pick if I was picking a conventional loan. Like, I had no idea. And I wasn't going to read a book about it.
Right.
I wasn't going to spend all that that time, I was watching these 20-second videos, and then I was just looking online, cross-referencing that all of this was legit. I was getting book recommendations from people, like literally anything I can find. Probably for a solid 5 or 6 months, my entire For You page at one point was finance. It doesn't look like that anymore, but I didn't know what the S&P 500 was. Like all of these things, like, and my parents didn't come from like a financial background like that. Like my dad works blue collar, my mom's a nurse. Like no one taught me like where to invest your money like that. And just because no one taught me didn't mean I wasn't going to learn how to do it.
Right.
So learning to be financially literate, if you could pick one thing from this entire podcast,
oh my God, that is so cool.
that would be it, because it's so empowering. As even now, like the decisions I made at 23, 24 are still like, I'm still reaping the benefit today at 27, and I'm going to reap the benefit even more in decades to come.
And if you're older than 23, it's never
too late. It is never too late. I always tell people, because I feel like my best friends will ask me questions and I'm like, literally send me all your finances. We'll go through it together. Like, one, there's nothing to be embarrassed about. And two, it is never too late, because every year you're going to think you were behind.
I think that's a big thing. It's never anything to be embarrassed about. I think a lot of people think that in order to be good at finances, you have to have a lot of money.
No. And I not only was broke, I was bad at math. Double whammy in the finance world. Like, I saved money where I could, but it was like in an account. Like I said, I paid for my rent the day I graduated college. Like I graduated the end of December, rent was due on January 1st. Like I was scraping it together. You don't need tens of thousands of dollars to make this work.
Right.
But like if you're making the conscious decision every month and teaching yourself good habits, like the payoff, like for example, I'm getting married at the end of September of next year, and like having good financial bearings and just like learning how to allocate my money has alleviated so much stress from wedding planning. All from something I did a couple years ago, reading some books.
So what were the books? And if
someone,
that's okay. And if someone listening to this is like, okay, I want to get a handle on my finances, but I have no idea where the F to begin, what would you say?
I need to find the exact, there's one book and I cannot remember the name of it for the life of me, but I will find it and I will send it to you literally
I'll
today.
put it in the show notes of this episode so you guys can go look at it.
I'm trying to think of what it was, but I remember reading it in Arizona, and there was a sequel to it and it was great. But reading that book, reading The Defining Decade, I literally like, this is how clueless I was. I did not understand how to like invest in the S&P 500, like the stock market. Genuinely was like, where does this go?
I don't think a lot of people do.
No. I called Vanguard. And they were like, no, you don't call for these types of questions. Like, I literally was like, hey, how do you invest? They're like, oh no, sweetie, like this is like, we are not who you think you are. Like, that's how clueless I was. I was literally just calling whoever would answer until I got it. But literally, and that, how else was I going to learn?
Totally.
YouTube videos. I have to find, I don't know if he does them anymore. There was this guy on TikTok. It's so weird. And maybe some people know who I'm talking about. He has like one TikTok account that's like comedy skits, and then one that's like fully finance. I have to find him.
He was
both phenomenal. There's another girl, Erin C. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. She's amazing. She's young too. She's like 25 or something, and kind of was in the same boat as me. Like just taught herself stuff about finances, but really like simplifying it, like invest in the S&P 500, but before that make sure you have retirement, and before that make sure you have an emergency fund. Like teaching things like that.
Okay, I love that. You mentioned love.
I know.
You're getting married.
I know.
Could you believe it?
Literally no.
I'm so
excited.
Talk to me about that, because when you were going through your what should we call this, your rebirth, like in 2020, when you were like, I'm rebranding myself completely, you were really struggling with the love department. Not that you were struggling like you couldn't get a man. It was that
I had anxiety.
Yeah.
I had man anxiety. And I feel like this is such like a interesting thing to talk about, because I feel like I've never like even talked about it that much.
Articulated
with like people like, I feel like if you know, you know. But
you don't have to go too in depth.
No. But like I essentially like I had a boyfriend for a really long time. It obviously didn't work out. We were really young. And then after that, I like did not know how to date people. And I found myself with these like really bad, like attachment issues, like abandoned attachment, all these things. Again, read books to understand what was going on. And I was like, I feel like nobody else is having anxiety about going on dates with men and talking to men and overthinking it the way I am. And maybe people were, and I just was oblivious to it. And I'm sure there people are. but I just like could not. I wasn't, every time I would meet people, I just like was not happy with myself. I didn't like who it made me become. Like at the end of the day, I didn't like how my brain functioned is what I would always say. And I literally, again, looked at myself in the mirror and said, I don't like this. I don't like how I feel. Like, I think we need to figure this out. And I found a great therapist, Christina.
We love Christina in this house.
If you know, you know. Get a friend group that all went to the same therapist. That's literally how you know. Think about it all the time. If you're listening, I miss you so much, even though we're state boundaries and you're not allowed to be my therapist anymore. Anyways, I basically went and talked to her. And I even told Tori, and we talked about this before, like, I like had cried to her one time talking about a guy, and I was like, I'm literally going to therapy. Like, I want to get married one day. Like, I want to have a family. Like, I don't want to be like this. And I don't have like tactical tools that like solved it. Like, there's no.
But you put in the work.
I put in the work. There's no like quick fix. There's no like step-by-step guide. But really for me, understanding how my brain worked and getting to know myself and knowing that's how I function as a person did leaps and bounds for me. Like, you can't get your shit together if you don't know what's wrong.
And I think that is so important because I think we tell ourselves what we want to think of ourselves without actually looking at ourselves in the mirror and being like, okay, but that's who I actually am.
Yes. Like, I wanted to be this like crazy party girl that was going out, and I love that. I'm a huge extrovert, but like then I was having these thoughts and I was having these feelings and I was like, you can't just brush these off. That's not how you fix it.
Yeah.
And I really did. And I am the luckiest person ever. I mean, selfish to say, but like I met my now fiance and like I really equate a lot of that. I wasn't perfect when I went through it. I'm not saying like, oh my God, I went to therapy and I was fixed and then I found this man and now we're getting married and everything was perfect. Like, we definitely, like, I still go through things, and like especially at the beginning of a relationship, you're just like really honest about how your brain works and how your thought process works. And even as a partner, like, it makes you such a better communicator when you can articulate to someone why you feel the way you do and like what is going on in your mind. It just like it helps so much.
Yeah. And now you're happier than ever. You did the work. You have a great fiance. You're planning a wedding.
Yeah.
You
Girls,
love it?
go to therapy. I love it.
Girls go to therapy. You're a mom.
Yeah. I got my sleeping lady next to me.
It's a dog.
She's literally a dog. She's out cold.
No, she rocks. Yeah. So the big themes here that I'm picking up on is that you constantly were looking at yourself in the mirror. Theoretically, I wasn't like dead ass talking to myself, but you were.
I had no issue diving in.
Yeah, like you were willing to really look at who you actually were.
Yeah,
and explore that person.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people, and it's really, really hard nowadays because you obviously see the highlights of everyone and the best of the best, but like not being afraid to like look at yourself, and not in a bad way of like, hey, here's all the shit I hate about you and here's all the things that make me insecure, but like these are the things that don't make me feel my best. Like, what can I do to adjust them to make sure I feel my best? Like, it doesn't have to be that deep. Like, find what you like.
And you are queen of like side hustles. Like, you teach Pilates.
I do love a good side hustle.
You just started your sock company.
I did.
Talk to us about both.
I guess that's like another financial thing. Like, having side hustles, good morning, is
she's sort of like, yeah, I'm amazing
now. Because in this economy, like, you gotta have a side hustle. But I think it's really helpful with like fun money. It helps you allocate savings, and it should be something that like you just enjoy. For me, I feel like I tell people all the time, teaching is the best side hustle ever because one, I work from home. It gets me out of my house. You're around an amazing community of people. I work out for free and I get paid to do it. Like, it is so fun, but it doesn't have to be that. I always tell people if I wasn't in fitness, I would literally be a barista part-time because like I love coffee and I think it would be so fun.
So fun.
But like, find something outside of your 9 to 5, find something on a weekend. Like, don't make it feel like work.
I love that you have something outside of your corporate job because I think a lot of times ego gets in the way of people doing other things that they just genuinely enjoy.
Exactly. Like, yeah, it doesn't give broke because you do something else for fun.
No.
Like, it's just something I tell people all the time, like, I'll be 95 years old coming back and teaching at Stride. Like, totally. I just love it.
Yeah.
And you should, I mean, whether you work from home, in an office, it's a little bit easier because you do get a little bit more socialization, but like, you should be socializing with people that you want and like doing things that you enjoy. So like, I don't know, it doesn't have to be like a W-2 side hustle, but like my socks, for example, girl, right. Not the time. I love the fitness industry. I wanted to be involved with it more, but I came to terms that I didn't want to own a studio. That's just not the path for me and what I enjoy. But
Which is great for me.
No, literally. We'll never be in competition. I'll be working for you till the day I die. But like, I wanted to be involved in the industry more with those people. Like, I love studio owners. I love the community so much. And I just had to figure out like what I liked. Taught Pilates for a really long time. I don't have a passion for sock design. Like, I don't eat, sleep it. Like, your side hustle and your job doesn't have to be like your be all end all love. Like, some things you love and you just want to keep separate. Like, I love teaching so much. I would never own a studio at this point because I don't want to take that love away from me and make it a full-time job. But like, I love being involved. And like, I know nothing about socks. I knew nothing about starting a business. I knew nothing about e-commerce. And I was like, all right, I'm going to take this little chunk of money I put aside. Some guys sports bet, some girls open businesses. Like,
so
it's all the same. Like, Ryan spends so much money sports betting. Like, it's the same shit. Like, if it goes to shit and I get no return on it, at least I learned something.
You went for it.
And I have no fear. Like, and I'm not saying like I don't feel it. Like, posting about it feels awkward. My friends buying like, I just launched them over the weekend, and like seeing people I know like place orders and like spend their money on something I made. Yes, I love them and it feels so good, but like,
it's so cool.
A part of me feels a little like, oh my God, this is kind of weird. Like, I hope, like, I feel like I'm cosplaying something and I'm just like playing toy business. Like, it doesn't mean it's not going to feel awkward and uncomfortable, but like, I'm going to do it anyways.
Have you felt that imposter syndrome at all?
Yeah, for sure. I felt that a ton when I was buying my house. Like, a ton, because I was really young. I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this. You know, people are telling me no. And like, can I really afford this? Am I being so delusional that I'm going to end up house poor? Like, so many fears. And at any age, you're going to go through those when you buy a house. It's that time of life. And I know, you know, is so stressful and so complicated. And my realtor said, the second you get in there, it's all going to melt away and you're going to love it. And he was absolutely right.
Yeah.
But like, again, with the imposter syndrome, like, understanding yourself is really the thesis of what it goes back to, of like, is this actually how I feel, or is this imposter syndrome? Like, is this really me, or is this just something I feel because this is the first time I've ever done it?
Such good advice.
Oh, thank you.
No, that really is.
I've had a lot of like come to Jesus with myself in the last 5 years.
No, I love that. And I think it's so important to really take the time to learn yourself and not just tell yourself about yourself what you think you want to be.
Yeah.
But actually, like, who am I? Do I like this? If the answer is no, you can change it. The freedom to change whatever you don't like about yourself is always there.
And it doesn't have to be that deep. Like, it doesn't have to be this entire, you don't need to go on like a retreat to find yourself and find this come to Jesus moment. Like, take the pressure out of it and just know that like, you can make small moves. I say it all the time, small moves make major changes.
100%.
Like, take the little things. Like, it doesn't have to be, Rome wasn't built in a day.
You've always been really big into health, fitness, wellness. Talk to me about that.
Well, I feel like it's so funny you say that. Like, I always have, because I've known you for the last 5 years, but obviously before that, I feel like I wasn't really involved. I fell in love with spin. I feel like every girl has said the same story. When I was 19, my big at the time, my sorority took me to a soul cycle class and my life changed. Like,
it all started with the soul cycle class.
Literally, it started with Beyonce versus Jay-Z ride with Alexis Rose. The queen.
Isn't it crazy? We'll always remember, like, mine was in New York City, Bryant Park, and the first song was the Hills Earl Grime remix. And I was like, wait, this shit goes hard.
No, literally, you're like, what is happening to me? And I tell people in spin, I say it all the time, like, it doesn't have to be spin, but you need to find something that makes you feel the way I feel. Like, you just need to find one, because it's amazing. And like, finding something you love that helps you take care of your body. Like, in the last year, especially, I feel like I've really been exposed to a lot of close people in my life dealing with health problems, and really valuing like how important your health is and that you truly only get one body. And I've really shifted my mindset from like being skinny and like, oh, there's always weight to lose. Like, as a girl, I feel like that's your Roman Empire, to like, I need healthy bones. Like, I want to be able to hold all of my kids. Like, I want to preserve my body because I want to live a long life. Like, I want to be 90 years old walking around, like, teaching my little Pilates classes. I don't want to be operating on a 90-degree angle, like things like that. But I never put a lot of pressure on myself in fitness and wellness, which is why I think it's been so sustainable for me for a long time. I've thought a lot about this. Like, I never was one that needed to like put myself on a crazy diet. I never overdid it at a gym or a studio. I just found what I liked. And it doesn't mean I was like always happy and always the most confident person in my body, but like, again, getting to know yourself, of like, go back to this, but like I feel like as a girl you're always like, oh my god, but like I could lose 5 pounds or like whatever the situation is, but like could I really lose that 5 pounds, or like would I really have to dip into some steep territory to get to that weight, to get to that health, versus I'm working out every day, I'm feeling really good, I can move my body, and I do like how I look.
Yeah. And you've always, and another theme that I'm picking up on is like you've never been afraid to pivot.
No.
So when like a workout has piqued your interest,
I move on.
you're going to go try it out. Just because you have something that you've always liked doesn't mean you won't also try something else and see if maybe you like that too.
Yeah, that was spin to Pilates. I spun forever. I still do. I love it. I still love teaching it, but I moved to Scottsdale. I was at studios there. They were all great, and I really liked the classes. And I was like, I'm just like not loving this the way I used to. And then I kind of was like, I don't know, I've been doing this every day for how many years? Like, maybe I should go try something else. And like, no matter what you try when you're used to one thing, when you try something different, it completely kicks your ass. Like, I went to Pilates and I thought I was like the fittest girl ever. I was running these sprints on the bike and I got my ass absolutely handed to me. And I just loved that challenge again.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to keep doing this. And then I liked it. I liked the studio. And then I was like, hey, I could teach. And there was an opportunity. And again, I just like kept going for it.
Something that you wrote down that I want to talk about is you didn't expect instant gratification.
Yeah.
Hit me.
I feel like it kind of goes hand in hand, not really with victim mentality, but like in today's day and age, it's really easy to blame outside factors, and it's really easy to think that you're going to have the world at your fingertips in 30 seconds because it literally
Social
is.
media, yeah.
And
100%.
I'm not blaming people for that. Like, especially people younger than us, that's literally how you were raised. How else would you know any other way? But like,
and having access to anyone else at any time, like that's not normal.
No. And like, you don't have to, like, you should be able to see other people's success. And this was a big mindset shift I had to take. Like, I don't begrudge influencers. I don't begrudge what I see online and, you know, cry about myself. Like, take it as inspiration. It doesn't need to be influence. Like, take it as bits and pieces of your life, of things that you aspire to have and things you can work towards, but not expect to be someone else. Like, it was very much like that with Pilates. Like, I wasn't good at it. I tell my girls in class all the time, I literally fell off the reformer the first time I ever took class.
You
did? I fell off.
Okay.
I lost my balance. I wasn't paying attention. There was so much going on. And to this day, I tell my girls in class all the time, I'm like, I've actually never seen someone fall off the way I tripped off.
Was it at the...
It was at Reform. And it was at McCormick Ranch, the OG studio I went at. And it was so embarrassing because I was like, I was new to Arizona. I was new to this studio and I fell off.
It happened.
It literally happened. And I say to say, I'm like, it was meant to be, because I tell my girls that when they're first timers in class, because like reformer Pilates is intimidating. You come in and you're like, I don't know the machine. I don't know the names. Everybody's in matching sets. Like, this is a lot. And
no,
I'm
it's
like,
a lot. It's literally the skits.
It is. And I'm like, hey, I fell off the first time.
Hey, mamas.
No, literally. So I'm like, I fell off. You're good. And I literally fell off and I went back again. Yeah. And I just like kept doing it. And kind of like the same thing with the money thing. Like, you're not going to save $100,000 in 1 month, 1 year, 2 years. Like, you're just not. And maybe you are, and that's great. But like the average person, it's just not feasible. It doesn't mean you shouldn't put away $10.
100%.
Like, you're instilling these good habits. And it was like that with fitness. Like, you're not going to show up if you've never been to a fitness class or a gym in your life, and you show up one day and you're expecting to look 10 pounds thinner the next day. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm sorry, you just have to look in the mirror and understand, like, this shit takes time, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And that's how I like was with Pilates. That's how I was with my job. My job is actually a great example of this. I worked in other jobs since PayPal. I worked in insurance because I was really chasing the check at that time. Another come to Jesus I had that I was like, I hate the job. I was really chasing the money. I need to find a balance of like financially that feels good and a role that feels good. I found the job that I'm at.
Insurance.
Yeah. I was, and I'm so open and honest about it. It had nothing to do with the company. My boss was amazing. My mentors were amazing. It just wasn't for me.
And the company was great.
It was great.
We see really high earners from the company. Like, I totally get what you're saying.
And
like,
I had the best circumstances there. Like, I was really lucky and really grateful. And I just looked at myself and I said, this isn't for me. And that's okay.
Right.
And I really wanted to work again in the fitness industry in a different capacity. And now I have my job, work for ClassPass, and I love it.
Yeah.
And I worked in my sales role and I applied for the role I'm in now. I'm an account manager, and I didn't get it when I applied. They said, you can work in sales because you've had sales experience. And I said, perfect. I still want to work here. And then I knew at the forefront of my mind, like, eventually I would be an account manager. Like, I wasn't looking at other jobs. I wasn't looking at other things because I didn't get the dream role at the dream company all at one time. Like, I even applied for it again in March and I didn't get it. Or no, it was April of last year and I didn't get it.
Damn.
And, you know, I was really confident and I didn't get it. And I didn't look for other jobs, other places. I stayed in my role and I worked really hard. And now I'm in the job I'm in now.
Yeah.
All for something I wanted now looking back almost 2 years ago.
Wow. Yeah.
Like, you're not, like, as soon as you get out of your own way and, like, stop expecting everything to be at the palm of your hand, like, let yourself work for it a little bit because
100%.
the payoff is so much better.
And we're not entitled to
Anything.
a dream life
Nope.
or a dream job just because we think we deserve it.
No.
You do deserve to have the best, but that doesn't mean you're going to get it right away.
And no one is out here looking out for you except
100%.
you. No one's handing you the job. No one's handing you the fitness aspects. No one's handing you the money. Like, literally nothing. If anything, the world is trying to take it away right now. And, like, you can't look at it as, like, I hate the world. The world's so against me. But, like, you got to be honest with yourself. Like, I really got to work hard for myself because no one else is out here doing it for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't agree more. There's like a quote, and I think it's people underestimate what you can do in a decade and overestimate what you can do in a month or
It's so
a year
true.
or something like that. It is so true.
It's so true.
Rachel, you have your shit together.
Oh my God, thank you. I feel really, like, lucky and I feel really happy of the spot that I'm in. It doesn't obviously mean I feel like, just as the disclaimer for everyone, like, in no way, shape, or form do I fully have my shit together. Like, we are not perfect people, but, like, I'm really proud of the mindset that I've, like, made for myself. And I feel like it's a rarity. Somebody at work had just told me, that's a partner I was working with not too long ago. It was like, you're really, like, openly happy with your life. You don't see that a lot. And I was like, that's so sad. Yeah. And I told him, I said, I feel really lucky to say that. And I'm not ashamed to say it. Like, I'm not hiding it. I don't feel bad about it. Like,
Right.
I didn't do anything or have any, like, crazy change that other people couldn't set up for themselves.
Right.
I just looked in the mirror. Oh, and she's agreeing.
And she said, you guys are done the podcast.
No,
It is great timing because we are actually done the podcast.
it's okay. It's no big deal. It's no big deal.
We are actually done. Rachel, is there any final thing that you want to say to the people?
I loved the quote that you just ended with, but, like, it is crazy what you can do in a decade. It's crazy what you can do in a year. Like, just let yourself go for it.
Yeah.
Whatever is coming to your mind right now, let yourself go for it.
Where can people find you?
You can always find me on Instagram, Rachel BMR. And I've been loving TikTok lately. I've been a TikTok girl.
No, you are a TikTok girl.
It's just, like, so cute.
It's so fun.
It's so fun. It's so creative.
And you're a bride. People love following along with wedding content.
Yes,
I feel like
I've
next
posted
year you'll,
nothing
like,
about it.
amp it up.
Yeah, I was gonna say, girl, please, we're talking. Yeah, I've done nothing, like, posting about wedding stuff, but eventually I'll get to it.
Yeah, maybe next year you'll amp it up because, like, it's still, like, pretty far out.
Yeah, I have over a year. I got time.
Yeah, you have time. So
Yeah.
what a treat to have you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're so
This made my
welcome.
whole day when you said that I had my shit together. It really meant a lot. So thank
Oh, you're welcome, Rach. Well,
Love
you
you.
can come on anytime. This was great, and
Enough.
I really enjoyed it.
you.
Bitsy wants to get her piece.
No, literally, lady. You don't need to bark at them. It's no big deal.
All right, bye, Rach.
Bye.